Okay, I'm in. All I need to do is just press enter and... Oh, what the... Oh no. Well, I guess this is my life now. Okay, so Tron Ares. I saw this on October 10th, and on top of that, I wrote my review that same day, and it is on Instagram and IMDb. Read it fully. So basically, here I am recording a video for it, and yeah, we should be good to go. Okay, so just a heads up, there is one minor post-credits scene that comes up immediately after the movie ends, in which yeah, I was surprised and yet intrigued by the risks involving in this film. While it was pushing the story forward, I do like that the film took risks, some that work and others that feel unfinished, intentionally so. Overall, I am intrigued, and yet this film will age interestingly, similarly to the original Tron and then Tron Legacy, perhaps in the unrated good film territory. Still, I think the major issue is nostalgia toward the first film, in which I get it. It's fantastic. Still, Easter eggs can impact the movie towards a nostalgia sequel series. However, there are nods and direct moments that are from Legacy, and I am interested and wary of what is to come next. I know my first paragraph sounds unclear and disjointed at times, because the film shows us a lot of what could be and the risks they took. Most of these risks are headstones of what Legacy brought to the table and how programs begin to deviate from their initial ordinance. The other risk, I would say, is storytelling, where there are moments in the story where they focus more on the spectacle while combining the deeper meat elements of AI. Not that one trying to replace us in art. Still, in the systemic form of what ethically moral or humane. However, the film decides to leave those ideas as sprouts of what it came to the prior film, like which began as seedlings, in which feels like this film wants to push towards a greater goal, like a sequel. I've give the movie a commendation of that risk and how it can affect the story forward, moving forward. A world where a digital frontier becomes a one singular world in this film, which introduces the permanence code and what it might mean for the real world. Overall, the film presents a lot of interesting ideas, and it's because of those ideas that make fans mixed on the movie. I, on the other hand, am a bit painful, but not in the structure of it being a mid-film, but instead of what will come towards this film, because I really enjoyed the cinematography, the visuals, the music, and yes, I enjoyed the characters given to me in this film, in which I feel like we are in the similar situation to Tron Legacy, which came out in 2010, and how my generation was not able to express themselves at the time because it was the dawn of the internet and social media as we know them today. The music by Nine Inch Nails was immaculate. However, I will say there was a lot of repetitive tones, but I don't have an issue. I'm not gonna say that's a big issue. It's just one that you notice, like when you listen to it. But that's a minor nitpick. That was the best I can imitate of. But it was energetic, catchy, and deeply resonant to the film's storyline. However, I would like Daft Punk to return someday to give us more balanced score with those emotional moments hitting more in than this film. Overall, I give this film's soundtrack a banger and gets you in the mood for epicness. The cinematography is impressive. Alongside the visuals, I can also tell they filmed with authentic props and set pieces. I must say that's impressive. The film also has scenes with spiraling and or extreme movements, which I presume they used for gimbal and or GoPro for those close-up hyper movements in the action scenes. I will warn you guys, for people who have motion sickness, this movie has a lot of it. But if you don't, enjoy it. There you go. Yay. However, near the end, the camera movement is a lot more balanced. The light cycle scenes in the movie are adrenaline filled and intense. You feel the rhythm and the purpose match with the soundtrack from the real world light cycle pursuit scene to the water skimmer is what they call it in the film. It feels like a video game, more enlightened to Halo 5's combat, which was PvE, vehicle combat, not sugary, as the film did an impressive job of. Now the elephant in the room is the cast of the film. Oh my god. Yeah, having a helmet on the whole time, it's a bit hard to breathe at times, but yeah. Okay. I'm gonna just do the rest of the review like this because yeah. Okay, I will put a link to the helmet if for those are interested in finding one, because they're really good. They're good and affordable. But anyway, Jared Leto as Ares is an interesting character. However, he does intentionally feel robotic. But I can understand why people may be mixed. With that being said, the role in the film was interesting, and it feels like the start of his story arc. But instead of it being a passive protagonist, I will say he's more of an active protagonist, delving in to find his purpose, which in this film is successful. We may get more of what his purpose is, and also brings an interesting question to who he is, since his appearance changes near the end of the film. Greta Lee as Eve Kim in the film is probably my favorite character. How she is both headstrong about trying to save the world, and this is mainly because I feel like she is, in a way, like us, the audience, who are experiencing the grid for the first time, excluding Sam Flynn, who appeared in Tron Legacy. Her character feels like she's been on the other side, not knowing whether programs are sentient beings, and combining that with the sympathy of Kevin Flynn had toward them. I also enjoyed seeing her relationship with her sister, Tess Kim, as Celine Yoon, explored, and how that affected her in the position she is in this film. Jodie Turner-Smith as Athena, well, I think her character feels like the Terminator in many ways, which is all about directive. And her being the villain of the film is interesting, since she hasn't computed her emotions or personality. However, I will say there's a bit of a tragedy towards her character, which is subtle, but I think over time she may be delved into in more retrospective viewings or retrospective reviews in the future, similarly to Legacy. Evan Peters as Julian Dillinger is a gripping villain. He's not really an evil villain like ones and zeros, but he does feel quite complex, where he wants the permanence code by any means necessary, and that turns as well, and with the length of the film, slowly pushes him towards being full-on villain. However, you can tell by his relationship with his mother, Elizabeth Dillinger, Gillian Anderson, there's more to being delved into, and him having this sort of abusive relationship with her, since she pushed him towards her aspirations, and from their grandfather's goals. However, there's a lot to be desired with her character, as it feels like he's starting to become the villain we know he will become in a hopefully planned sequel. As of right now, real world, it's a bit iffy, but I hope that maybe in streaming it'll get the rest of the money and influence people to, hey, go watch it. We want an actual sequel. But as of right now, the movie is doing okay, I would say. It hasn't recovered all its money, but it's doing okay, I would say. Anyway, Jeff Bridges as Kevin Flynn reprises his role in this movie. However, it's a small role, yet it's a role that impacts the whole story and what brings to our cast of characters. I enjoyed every single moment he was in this film, and the intellectual aspects as to him in a way God in the digital frontier. And him asking Ares, what does a malfunctioning AI want to do with their existence? Overall, really awesome and well thought out. Even if he's basically the same character as the creator of SAO. Just saying, SAO and Tron are like this. One is more for adults, one is more for everybody. But they have the same messages. They have the same core beliefs and stuff. That's how they are. I enjoyed the moments when our protagonist and antagonist confront each other in this interdistance matter, where they're confronting one another via computers or via chase scenes. However, there's a bit more to be desired, and I wonder if there's a couple deleted scenes or moments that have further explored their conflict. Possibly in a comic, maybe? You guys have done it before, just saying. Overall, my issues with the film are that it needed more time to flesh out new characters. However, I'm intrigued by how they will explore the concepts introduced in the prior two films, and I want a sequel of this film. My other issue is that there's a lot of nostalgic moments where it kind of feels later in a midway point. Like, hey guys, remember that guy or that item? However, I can understand you are a new viewer. If you are a new viewer and you haven't seen the prior films, it may be a form of world building to introduce you to the previous movies. My concern is that the film is set 10 years after Legacy. That history explains why Sam Flynn, Gareth Hudlin, and core Olivia Wilde don't appear in this movie. Yet their photos and records appear as well, which lead me to believe the actors have a role to play in the fourth film. Overall, I come to the conclusion that the film isn't terrible nor destructive, but it is also isn't amazing or legendary like the original film or its predecessor. It definitely feels like it's going in the right direction and challenging us, the audience, in to make that decision of what the universe can hold. However, overall, with a lot of critical thinking, I was in between the 6.5 and 7.5 in score. Not only did I find some of the jokes funny, but I've also found again immersed into the grid, and that wow and wonder of what that feeling gave me when I was a kid. And in turn, it makes us be more understanding, similarly to Ares on his quest, and that we, the human species, are searching for. What is our purpose? On one line in the film was him comparing Mozart to Depeche Mode, which is an electronic band from the 80s, I believe. And to that, he says he can't really explain it. It's just a feeling. And to that, I say that this movie, the third Tron film, is like a feeling that only you can understand its brilliance and unworthiness. And to that, I say I give Tron Ares a 7 out of 10. An interesting start to this third installment of the Tron series. On other notes, for me, Tron, like the whole series, I started out watching it when I was 8 years old, and then when the second movie came out, I saw it when I was 9. So for me, it was like, oh yeah, we had the whole internet still. It was the start of YouTube and everything like that. So seeing the third movie is like, oh wow, it is really hitting home, closer to home. Every time I see more of those old movies, I'm just like, you guys were so advanced in your time, and that people just didn't understand them or realize how good they were. And yeah, they did okay in theaters, but it's that weird, fun, interesting notion of like what they are about, and what the whole story and the whole conceptions of AI programs, computers and all that stuff that we still have interest with. And I feel bad that Tron is one of those franchises that it is niche, but I hope that in the future it becomes even more of a bigger franchise, similarly to Star Wars or Star Trek or even the Matrix films. While the Matrix films are also niche, they've also grown in time, especially those first three movies. But it's there, and especially on top of this, like people forget that Tron Legacy had they had a comic book run of that being Tron Betrayal. So if you haven't read it, go read it. You can read it online, but it's a really good prequel to the second movie. And then you had also like the first movie adaptation for the comics. So you had the second and the first one. So that's another way you can bring in new people into the franchise. It's just that Disney, you need to show a lot more interest on what you want to do and just push it forward. Like, that's how you make things grow. Like, continue the whole Uprising show. It's really good, super underrated. But you should continue that. Just if you're not finding a lot of viewingship, let that grow. That growing stuff will lead to great things. And Aries is like that. It's literally like that, where it might not have the huge viewership that you were seeking, but in time it will grow. And overall, the more I think about it, the more I've listened to the soundtrack as well as the messages and the core beliefs of the series. Is they're each talking about a part of our humanity, where like this one is like, what is our purpose, or what makes us human, basically, while the first film is like, what is the meaning of our existence, and then the second one is like, yeah, it's what does our legacy define us. It's basically hitting on the notes of like philosophicalness for younger kids. So yeah, I'm excited. I'll probably watch it again another day in theaters, but yeah, definitely I give with my score, I think it'll age over time. I give it right now like a 7 out of 10, but we'll see how things go.